Hey guys, it's your boy Vladis, and today in this video I wanted to go over sort of like my wish list of things that I would still continue to change and kind of hammer out when it comes to economy, professions, tools, events, things like that. So let's just get into it. All right, so I wanted to start off with this one. So surveying right now, you know, you basically put down, there it goes. So the pylon's down. Sorry, I haven't used a pylon in a bit, and basically it's going to put up, it should put up a circle, like almost like a treasure map circle in the vicinity, right? And basically any of the herbs that you want to go and get will be increased in rarity right now, but then the vision is, I don't know where the UI is going to be. Maybe when you over click the circle here, it'll tell you, you know, there's going to be a legendary bluebell in 13 minutes that will spawn. So I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to a couple of guilds about this particular subject. I'm very nervous about this particular thing. I remember reading the wiki where it says that, you know, you would be able to discover or uncover nodes by doing the surveys. I wouldn't mind if you see like this right here, and by putting the pylon down, it basically uncovered like invisible herbing nodes that are in this area, if there are any. And then you can also see potentially like what are all these rarities, right? Like, oh, there's just common, uncommon here. Oh, okay. So if I want to stay here, I feel like I wasted a pylon, then I can just go somewhere else. But if there's actually some heroic, some epic, some, you know, rare, you know, whatever the case is, then I can go and do that. My number one fear is already further encouraging PvP. That to me is already something that exists. It really does exist currently. You know, when the game is live, or, you know, when it's fresh, right? Everyone's rushing at level 1. People are out there getting granite, getting basalt, getting the dandelions and snowdrops. As I always say, dandelions, daffodils. I always confuse the two. PvP is already there. PvP already gives you that urge to potentially go combatant. And I know right now it doesn't feel that way because of corruption. But think about this in the more future tense, when corruption is actually lessened, because we're actually going into the betas. We're treating this more like the live environment. There's definitely going to be PvP. You don't need to further incentivize a very leisure, relaxed activity like gathering. And again, it may be leisure, it may be laxed. You know, there's a lot of PvEers that do this, knowing the potential PvP that comes from it. But the thing is that most of them that do engage in PvP, well, they themselves don't, but if a person tries to go in and try to kill them, they just back off. Be like, all right, fine, you get it, I'll go somewhere else. And, you know, that person wins and takes the thing that they want, you know. So it's a kind of a win-win. But further incentivizing you being in the right place at the right time and you finding a legendary bluebell that's going to spawn in 13 minutes. Why? I don't understand that personally. I would rather just have literally just invisible nodes that are scattered across the world that only get uncovered when you put a pylon down in that area, and it just immediately spawns, right? So if it is a legendary bluebell, well, hey, good luck, you got it. You know what I mean? You were there first, you should get it. But to know future timers and having, 30 minutes from now, and because again, everyone's going to have their own herbing routes. So I guess the developer's mindset is to go and put a pylon down, other people that same pylon down, and now there's like 4 groups of people that know there's a legendary coming up, so we all meet up there and then we're going to battle it out. Like, why? My thing is, move that to events. Do world events, world gathering events that incentivize that. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of a view that I take it in. Like, I don't want this activity to be more furthered with a bigger carrot for PvP for a lot of the PvEers that do it. Like, we need PvEers to do the PvE stuff. And I understand the whole, you know, PvX. I understand the whole, I'm sorry, my daughter's banging at the door. The game is all PvX or whatever, but I feel like with this activity you already have PvX. You don't need to make it a bigger version of PvX. So that's kind of my take with this particular surveying thing. I'm willing to see it, I'm willing to experience it, but I just have a fear that it's just going to potentially alienate a lot of PvEers that really do enjoy this current activity. just move it to events. I really do. Like, move it to world events, world gathering events. Maybe you have a big old weeping willow that people will go and shop, and as soon as you enter the circle, you're a combatant. PvEers won't do that. They'll just tell their buddies about it, their guildies, and be like, hey, there's a weeping willow event. I don't want to go do it, but y'all go do it and give me some weeping willow. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's going to happen. So I just think that that's kind of like my compromise, is I would rather just have invisible nodes that get uncovered with the survey pylons, rather than knowing future timers. I think that's just completely and utterly unnecessary. So the next thing I wanted to go over is vendor items. So let's just take arcane engineering as an example. So if we go to the vendor, there are certain things you can actually buy on the vendor, such as excavation kits, such as uncommon excavation kits, rare excavation kits. You can also buy food that is very powerful, elixirs that are very powerful. You can buy scrolls that are very powerful. And, you know, when I talk to a lot of crafters or processors, they really don't like this. And I think, in my opinion, I think some of this stuff should just be gone. Like, in my opinion, if I was doing this, I would just completely remove a lot of this stuff and just literally have people rely off of the economy, rely off of finding someone who could make that stuff, whether it's in their guild, whether it's outside their guild, whether it's from the marketplace. I think that would just be better personally for the economy. I also have to understand that there are people that, you know, are going to play solo or whatever. They don't want to interact. But my compromise in that sense would to be remove some of the more higher powered items like excavation kits entirely, but things that you choose to put in a vendor to literally, I would say, up the cost a bit, but also completely half the stats. So for this food item, you should have maybe at 33 instead of 73 at common. And if you go to an actual cook, that cook can make that same common item, but at 73 stats instead of 33. You know what I'm saying? You could even cut the duration in half. So this one is 60 minutes. Well, if you get it from a crafter, it's 60 minutes. But if you get it from the vendor, it lasts for 20 minutes, you know, something like that. It should just be of a lesser quality, like overall. If you're going to put it on the vendor, it should be overall of a lesser quality. But I think when it comes to some of the more higher like, you know, excavation kits, in my opinion, I even think elixirs, now scrolls and all the other stuff you can probably argue, but I think, just again, my point of view, even when it comes to artisan gear should be of a lesser quality. If you're putting it on the vendor, you should still, in my opinion, try to seek out an actual crafter to make it even at the common level. Right? Like, if you want to have that stuff, that's why I'm saying, like, I would rather just have it completely out of the vendor. But if you want it on the vendor, from the people that I've talked to, just completely, you know, have the stats on it or something like that, half the durability, just make it to where, yes, you can have it, but it's a less than item because you're buying it from a vendor. You know what I mean? Like, I think you should incentivize the people that are crafting, that are putting in their time to find the materials, to craft it for people, to be of a higher quality. This is probably like a smaller thing, but I understand that there's actually like different apprenticed lumberjacks. So we have this one that's just like a regular axe with, you know, speed and rarity. And then we have the quick axe, which, kind of funny enough, doesn't have any speed, which is just a little weird, but okay, whatever. But my thing, again, small thing, I would rather just have one apprentice lumberjacking axe. However, depending on the materials used, will allocate the proper stat line, right? So here you have, you know, basalt weapon mold, you have a slate weapon mold, you have bronze, you have copper, and then you have western larch, and you have eastern hemlock. So I don't care what mix and matching you want to do or what actually influences certain stat lines, but I think it would just be cleaner, instead of having potentially 3 or 4 different apprentice lumberjacking recipes, just have one and literally have certain combinations of things allocate certain stat lines. So that way it's just better. And overall, it provides more flexibility for us instead of the more rigid, you need these specific things, nothing else. It allows more flexibility for the player. It allows it easier, I think, in my opinion, for the development of for the developers. So that's another thing that I really wanted just to hammer out. Especially, of course, when we saw the, showcase of crafting the blood sword, there were additional regents that could potentially allocate new stat lines or different stat lines depending if you had those materials. So I kind of think when it comes to especially tools, now that we know they're going to be BOE and they're going to be able to come for sale, if you want to have particular stats that you're kind of known for, then I think that should be something that, you should be able to do as a crafter. Just a small thing. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go over is artisanship clothes. And the reason why I wanted to go over this is because we all know right now you can only have one row to socket, if you're going to go mining. But most people that are gathering, we're doing like 3 types of gathering. Like I know for myself, if I see weeping willow, I'll chop that down. If I go and see a herb, I'm going to go and herb it, but primarily I do mining and herbing. The one thing I want to see coming from the UI is at least having 5 rows to allocate my gear. The reason why I'm mentioning 5 is because outside of knowing all 22 novice professions, you're going to have, one, the 2 grandmaster, 3rd being master, 3rd being journeyman, and the 5th being an apprentice. So, I'll put up a little graph right here just to kind of give you all a frame of mind. And then the rest you're just going to know at novice, right? So I would rather have 5 rows to put in, for my mining, for my herbing, for my lumberjacking, because if I only ever just have 1 row, that means that I have to, basically clutter my entire inventory with all these different sets of gear for just artisanship stuff. And again, this is just 2 sets. I'm going to have more sets to deal with once I go into like processing or crafting or even further into gathering. So with the way it currently is, my future for it, or my vision, is to have at least 5. Hell, have all 22. I don't freaking care. I'll buy all the novice stuff eventually or get there. But the reason why I want it this way is because for me being super OCD and the people that I've talked to, if we only ever have 1 row, we're probably not going to want all the sets, or we are going to get all the sets and we're going to put them in our bank, and it's going to get super messy. It's going to get very annoying. But if we have the UI inventory to slot for every profession, me being OCD, I'm going to go and slot it, especially for the ones that I'm really concentrating on. And that also makes it easier for, the versatility of when you're out in the open world and, you see, a mine, you see a herb, you don't have to change out your clothes. Like it's just automatically going to work because you have it all equipped on you. I think that would be really nice, very cool quality of life. And I understand that the UI is very basic and bare bones, but this is why I just wanted to mention it, because I feel like this is also something that I would really, really love. This is probably something that is probably already in the works, but I just wanted to mention it, is the types of storage that we would have access to. So right now, everybody is using pretty much their general storage, but you see all of these here, none of these work right now, which really, really sucks. Like I really hope this actually gets fixed, because when you use your general storage, you can only stack up all your stuff to 20. Right? But if you're heavy into lumberjacking, if you're heavy into mining, herbing, fishing, what is that? I'm guessing that's hunting. So if you're heavy into any of those, imagine if you can go and just have a mining storage, and the mining storage can actually stack up to 120 per item node. Right? So when you go here, you can actually stack up 120 of rare slate instead of just 20. That would actually alleviate so much and free up so much storage for people, because of course, currently right now, everyone's having to go to almost every single node storage location and drop off materials. And, that's fine. But I think if once we actually get better storage, guild storage, all these storages, in the game, I think it's going to be a gatherer's paradise. Like I really do feel like you guys are onto something really cool with storage. I really appreciate the fact there is no weight to it. I love the stacks. I love the quantity size. I know people don't care for the Tetris side of things. I don't mind. Like I've been doing this for a while now. Like it's actually not even, it's a very non-issue for me, but I would really just advocate to hopefully that this is in the pipeline to be fixed, because man, this would help me out and a lot of gatherers out, just everybody out. All right, and the last thing is actually technically not even PvP. It's not even really profession related, but I just want to mention that I think damaging numbers are way too high, and that could just be a symptom of, you know, over enchanting. That could be a symptom of just, you know, potentially a stat rebalancing that's going to inevitably happen. But the numbers that I'm currently seeing, I would love if those same numbers existed at level 50. I just don't want numbers, not damaging numbers. I think health is fine, but I think damaging numbers, especially once we start to introduce augments, we start to introduce, you know, just higher statted gear, you know, tempering, jewel crafting, just a lot of more vertical power progressions. I don't want to see damaging numbers be in the 30,000s and the 50,000s, or potentially even the 100,000s, because I understand sometimes how scaling works, especially at end game. I don't want shit to get out of hand. I really love the numbers we're currently seeing. I would really hope they just do more of a rebalancing of strength, intellect, and dexterity to just lessen the numbers altogether and have these numbers kind of be revisited at level 50. That's just my opinion. But guys, what do you guys think? What are your wish lists of things that you would like to see from professions, from economy, from anything in general? I would love to see down in the comment section below. If you really love this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, you know, subscribe to the channel for more, of course, Ashes of Creation feedback content. And again, I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.